SeTab, a very big Rise player in particular, still looking at champions like Annie as well that are fairly high in priority.
Your favorite.
Also was banned in the last game, yep, but you know I have to take into account the teams themselves and what they might prioritize as a lot of deliberation for TT over this final ban. They go for Trundle here. Leaving Vi open means that Xayah Rakan as the response for 1xN and Feather does go up quite significantly as one of those answers. And with the Trundle ban as well, it means that you've not really got the best answer, but Annie Wukong as well is an opportunity here. If they want to go for that, I think that Wukong Xayah is the rotation that you want to opt into. You probably lose the Annie for it, but it does mean that you get the Xayah and you get the jungle matchup that you need as well.
Okay. It looks like they might just go for the Annie and break up this duo, and it looks like that will be the case. Thought there was a world where they'd maybe pick Azir. Azir pretty okay against Vi in the early goings. You can slide back to the turret, but they're going to go for short range. They're going to break up that big duo. Who knows? We might see an Ahri come out. It's fallen in priority with the Vi, but it is still a stock standard solid combo.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, you used to see Annie as the answer to Ahri, like just because you're point and click and she's so maneuverable on the Ahri that you can get away. But the Annie gets picked up and actually getting into... Yeah, okay, good. You needed to take the Xayah here. That makes the most sense. And it does make sense to take the Annie because LNG aren't going to pick Wukong. Theoretically, they could have picked the Annie in the mid lane to go to Haichao. Means that likely we're just going to see Wukong on 3-4 TT, and LNG now get to answer whether there's a really solid blind top laner that they want to take. They get to take maybe the Victor in the mid lane if they wanted something a little bit different, but the Azir as well can outrange the Annie and make her life quite miserable. So we'll keep our eyes out for what comes next for LNG, whether they want to answer with a little bit of range down on that bot side as well for LP, maybe going into something that has the opportunity to play at those longer distances. But instead, they might go for something in that top side, a high power pick in that Rumble.
See if they lock it in, and they will. So Zika is going to get his AP top laner of choice. Does mean we're going to be heavily indexed into magic damage. Remember, some Vi nerfs took out a lot of her power later on. A lot of latent damage. She's still strong early, but without a high power physical damage dealer on the bottom side, LNG could find themselves out of gas and itemized against. Because no support was picked, that means Rakan is open, so they will do so. This means that LNG will have the opportunity to ban away some junglers from Aki.
So normal go-to response, Hoya was a big Galio enthusiast, especially versus Rumble, so expect that to either be banned or picked. We still got Wukong as a pairing with the Annie that we love to see, which could also be banned or picked. TT, though, they have got a very dive-centric composition already with that Rakan, with that Annie. They can try and find access to that backline, and they can also try to play this sort of soft disengage style of composition where they try and sit and absorb the engage that LNG are looking to put down. But LNG already have got this really solid front to back where they've got Azir, they've got Rumble to have that mid game, and they've got really good strong points throughout the entire game. Still missing an AD carry for them, and they've got a plethora of choices for LP to go to here. So many choices with the Ezreal, the Corki even could try and give them a little bit of an early game boost. They might look for something a little bit more geared toward that late game, however.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. I feel like Corki would be so good with your team, but so difficult to play against the ThunderTalk composition once you hit 6 and get in these skirmishes. The Wukong is going to be banned out, as you said, so LNG elects to split the difference between the ThunderTalk top side. Now it is up to them. Are you going to give last pick to Aki, or are you going to give it over to Hoya?
Doesn't really matter. You get counter on both sides, and I think that it's about who thinks that they can warp the draft that little bit more with their 5th pick. You'd like to think that you can probably put that into the top lane. The limited amount of junglers left honestly means that you're just expecting it to be Hoya who can make the most difference with it. Maybe a Gragas could come through as well as something that might be able to split up this LNG roster. As they take the Lucian, they've still got a couple of really good choices. The Braum available if they want to just take this and lock it in. Really good bot lane pairing, a bit old school, but tried and true, doesn't fail you.
Yep. Also, being able to slow for your melee Rumble and your Vi will have a little bit of impact in these later fights. The question for ThunderTalk is who is going to pair up with Aki? Obviously, you have Rakan as a dive buddy, but sometimes if you're not totally in sync, you will find your Rakan left behind in the dust, and the Nocturne is on a single target and going like, I don't know what to do. Ornn is going to be the pickup here for ThunderTalk,
Yeah.
so it's going to be up to Zhuo to block these Call the Fort Gods.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting one. The Braum, not only a great answer into the Braum, but a great pairing with the Lucian as well. But the Rumble struggles versus the Ornn in the early stages, so you've got a mixed answer here. If TT are able to use Hoya's Ornn to a great effect, then yeah, absolutely, this pick can go very well for them. But if it just gets constantly blocked with that Unbreakable, then that gives really good power over to LNG, who I think for themselves have drafted this composition where engage isn't necessary for them. They've got a Vi Rumble combo to try and bully out one target, but there's a very real world where Xiaofang tries to go in, gets ult from 1xN, and then just sort of lands flat, dies, and costs them a pretty big team fight. However, if he plays patiently, if he plays reserved, very real world that LNG can attempt this front-to-back style and maybe come out on top.
This does mean that LNG will be playing their favorite play style of potentially do nothing and wait, which, as we've seen so far in this regular season split 3, it has not been great for them.
It's
But
not been
this
really
is
great
the
for
comp
many people.
yeah, this is the comp to do it in, right? Now, I do think they're going to be really strong in these early objectives, right? I think your weakest member is going to be the Azir, and even then, we'll be able to provide some utility with the Emperor's Divide. And over on the other side, don't clump up for this Annie. Don't clump up for the Rakan.
Yeah.
And be aware on side lanes that this Nocturne could just come and try to kill you.
Yeah, I do think that the Nocturne is going to have a pretty difficult time of things. Normally you like to take Nocturne versus picks that are immobile, but that's going to be really tricky this time around with the Azir and the Lucian.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Oh, it is dead in the arena, Yanni. I'm so sorry to inform you.
Bro. Oh my goodness. Tough.
A tumbleweed rolled through the stage.
Ooh wee wee ooh. Wah wah wah.
Could be a little bit of a standoff between these two bot lanes here as well as...
Is that High Noon Lucian? I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, canonical, baby.
I'll give it a yes.
I've been playing it a lot lately, but there's some that I don't play, as we appear to be missing some graphics. The champions are correct over on the sides, so you can see what they were able to pick up for a couple of keystones.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all that matters. As long as I can see who it is that each of these teams is playing, then we're not really too worried. Nice to see that LP as well is actually going for a more consistent DPS approach with the press the attack. Some Lucians these days are going for an electrocute style. But with press the attack, it does give you an opportunity to play these slightly longer skirmishes, and I think versus Azir Rakan, you really need that capability if you want to try and dice with them early on.
Yep, and LP thought he still had the Light Slinger, did not, so we'll stay alive and give Feather and 1xN a little bit of breathing room in this lane. And that's really all you ask for, is to make sure you are not getting demolished at level 2 by Braum Lucian.
Yeah, it's a pretty low ask, but sometimes this
They're
happens.
getting demolished at level 2 by Braum Lucian.
Yeah, it's honestly, I really hate to see level 2 spikes actually result in kills, because it is such a known thing about bot lane. Is that the third minion in the second wave, enemy team gets level 2. Don't be in engage range, and you're fine, you know?
Yep, and yet it happens all the time.
Yeah, whereas this time round, oh no, I've been tagged by a Braum Q, and I've taken half my health.
Well, we're going to see a recall come out from LP, as he is going to be down CS, so let's take a look at our junglers. He likes to stay, but our junglers still a big factor here. They're both on the bottom side. Grom going to be done by Aki, and then he's going to move over toward his buff. Always a chance that he could skip it based on the position of the wave. Meanwhile, Xiaofang probably be in reserve just in case.
And again, both of these junglers probably just going to be looking to clear up until level 6. Xiaofang maybe with a little bit more agency in the early stages of this game, as both of them now make their way down toward that bot side scuttle. With having Prio in the mid lane, you might think that SeTab would be able to help out, but unfortunately 2 is better than 1, and Prio in the bot lane means a lot more here, which does give over Xiaofang an early crab, which he's going to be spotted on. He's just going to trade this, and there's going to be a slight tempo advantage for Xiaofang as he moves back out onto the map, and might be able to impact a lane just that much.
So far, all is quiet, but once these teams hit level 6, things will get a little bit messy. We see that Hoya's already picked up the magic mantle, so as long as he doesn't get hit by double taser, he should be fine. Just able to farm up, and we're hoping for a level 6 that he will make the sort of impact you'd like to see, just as long as Zhuo doesn't block it. If you have the Braum around the Ornn, the fight should be a little easier for you to win. Overheat Zika. A lot of damage to Hoya here, staying outside of that turret range. Get in as much as he can. Dragon up at about 30 seconds. Both of these junglers up on the top side, though, so I imagine Dragon will be a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah, and I think that both of these teams, with it playing slowly, definitely tend toward giving this advantage over to LNG. I think they're the team that has been pushing the pace of things just a slight bit faster, right? There's definitely been some scuffles down in the bot lane, but at the moment, looks like there's a small CS advantage for 1xN and Feather. But they've got the Azir as they move into the late game, and for Haichao, I do think that that champion itself is going to be very, very impactful. Certainly something that we'd like to see have a pretty big impact. And if they can get into that late game as LNG and navigate these team fights somewhat successfully, I do give them the edge in that situation. However, for the time being, we're waiting for level 6, and I think that level 6 spike for ThunderTalk is something that they will really, really look forward to, and they'll be able to leverage quite significantly.
Feather and 1xN heading up to the top side here. Bit of a swapperoo just to get out of Lucian and Braum's sphere of influence. This does mean that Rumble will have to drop the equalizer down. Anything you can do to make Rumble's life a little bit harder in CS, you'll take.
We love a Victor laser that clears the wave.
Honestly, it just is what it is.
I remember I was first learning to play Rumble, and my friend said, it's just like Victor laser. And then I went, sir, I've never played Victor. And they went, oh, well, good luck, buddy.
You'll figure it out after the first one.
Yeah, LNG starting up a fight.
All right, SeTab is one auto away from getting stunned. Haichao's going to be the one to do it. Now he's going to shove SeTab over to the side. Now he's caught on the wrong side of the map. Aki's got to flash away. It's a 4v4 for right now. Knockup is there. Call the Forge God coming through. SeTab's still alive. Call the Forge God's going to land on the priority target. It's going to be LP who falls. And in the end, a 1-for-1. Yeah,
I mean, the Dragon goes no way. It's a 1-for-1 of taking down mid laner for AD carry, so it depends really who it is that gets the kills, and I think that, again, LNG probably just barely coming out on top of that. A kill for Haichao versus a kill for Hoya. I do think that Hoya could have maybe angled the ulti a little bit differently. I don't know that his ult saved somebody's life by taking down LP in that second. But if you got a double knockup, maybe they could have chased for a little bit more. Either way, for TT, they're going to get a second, or a first plate, I should say, down on this bot side, and have just a little bit more time, as it was LNG who started this. They didn't feel confident going for the 50-50. It's a great tag from Zhuo. Starts up this fight. Not quite able to find the stun on SeTab to begin with, but Haichao shunts him back in. I think that, honestly, if he just angled it down towards his team, might have made this a little bit easier for them to take this fight, as they commit very heavily onto the Yanni. Whereas I think that maybe being able to turn and convert this gold onto somebody who can carry them in the late game is a bit more ideal.
Why was LP in melee range of 3 guys? Like, I understand that sometimes you want to hit your priority target, but you can't do that, man. I think that is a big reason why it ended up being a 1-for-1 overall. Maybe it would have just been Zhuo who died, but it was very awkward to watch as a Lucian aficionado.
I was going to say ours is not to question why. Unfortunately, it is exactly our job to question why.
Yeah, man.
And in certain instances, Yanni, there's just no good answer.
Sometimes you make an oopsie.
Yeah, or the answer is they made a mistake, like you've just highlighted.
Yep. Well, what's not a mistake is ThunderTalk getting out on the map and starting up these grubs. There will be no contest coming from LNG. Not really going to get too much value out of them. They are good to have. They're good to take away from LNG. But it will just be a trade of objectives.
And overall, again, I do want to sort of slightly err on the side of TT needing to make something happen Aki now has access to that paranoia. I'd like to see him try to push the pace of this game a little bit faster and make it so that some sort of play is happening on the map. A reminder, LP has no flash, so if you're looking for a target, trying to take down the Lucian, not the most difficult task in the world, or was something that you might have been able to do a little bit earlier on. We'll have to wait and see, though, whether or not Aki looks to try and make the most of this summoner spell advantage or not. So far, has definitely not been the case.
Yeah, and like right now, it's very tough. There's a good ward that's in the tri-brush that was put down. So if Aki is near it, Haichao immediately knows that he's got to get out. Hoya not exactly going to stop him and allow Aki to get there. I call the fourth god. Could just be dodged out on. But you're right. We really need Aki to go and make some plays with this paranoia. With the lane setups, top lane would be probably the best spot, but Aki's on the bottom side.
Yeah. So, an area not where we'd like him to be. However, an area he finds himself in all the same, which is going to happen on occasion. And unfortunately, that's one of those things that we've been talking about. Is Aki the pickup that TT needed? Maybe he's just been able to find the time, and especially with his ulti as well, he can't afford to go too far behind. And he's actually doing pretty well at keeping a decent farm lead, as well as now recalling on a ward. SeTab
knew immediately, but
he's dead.
Will flash a little late there.
Unless
coming through. SeTab is still alive, and now they're going to turn it around. Aki going to go and target out this Rumble here. And with a little help from Feather, they will get the job done.
I lied. I apologize. SeTab is not dead, and he's actually just baiting on this ward. He was sat there. He's got Tibbers up to turn the fighter back around, and he's got 2 players from his squad ready to come and support him. So very good job by TT, ready to respond. And it wasn't the paranoia that we were expecting, but it's certainly one that gives them a decent leg up into the mid game, finding that 400 gold lead for mid lane, in the bot lane as well. Also on that top side, a small advantage being picked up for TT. Overall, a 1k gold lead, and something that you'd like to see them look to accelerate the pace of the game with. And you can see, just, it looks really good to begin with. Flash over the wall from Zika, you're thinking, yeah, this is absolutely signed, sealed, and delivered. But a double stun comes through, a great flash from SeTab follows afterwards. And after that, the follow-up comes through. Feather able to not only act as peel for his carry, but also engage for his jungler. And that's the type of thing that you really love to see, where you're able to be multifaceted, where you're able to do, a little bit of one, a little bit of the other. And I think that's the one thing that Rakan does better than pretty much most supports.
One big mention is that a couple summoners were burnt, not much. SeTab's flash is down. Zika's is down as well, a little bit less impactful than the Yanni ultimate, because you can always hit that equalizer from range. So see if LNG find a way to get onto SeTab, or if SeTab is going to just have to settle. We talked about when the last Yanni pick came through in the last series about how if you don't have that flash, sometimes you just have to hit what's in front of you. So that will limit SeTab's ability in these next fights. Minute and 40 seconds until this Dragon, looking to even it up at 1 apiece. As ThunderTalk have many members on the bot side, and they're clearing out all the vision they need.
And Yanni, in line with me continuing to be the CEO of Annie Hate, try and find me a game where an Annie has a gold lead over their counterpart, right?
Yeah.
Like TT have a gold lead. SeTab is still behind. He's down on XP and he's down on gold. And I do think that if LNG were to win this game, it would be off the back of Haichao. And that was before the game had even started. That was just the way that this composition has been drafted for LNG. But the fact that he has a gold lead over his counterpart is definitely not helping the cause.
And it feels like that's kind of been the story of the year for LNG and teams that play against them. Make Haichao beat you. Haichao had a lead in that last game, could not convert it. He's got a lead now, and he's going to have to be the guy that LNG can rely on. He was one of the guys that we expected some changes to be made. Again, LNG relatively muted on changes, but wasn't able to get it done the first time. He's had a couple of MVPs this year, sure, but he's going to need to come up big here in this game to try to even the series and keep LNG out of the dumpster.
Yeah, and I do think that, LP on this Lucian is going to have a completely different game to the one we saw with him on the Varus, where he was, I think on the Varus doing a good amount of damage, however, very frequently dying because he was just getting chained on by a Scion and then a Xin Zhao as well to boot. So I think this time around he's got a much easier champion to evade those situations, but also there's a lot less threat onto him as well. You're looking at, Rakan Nocturne On as being something that you can get away from, especially with that cleanse. As Dragon spawns up in just a second's time, Hoya's made the first move. Zika has teleport, so has a chance.
Right, LP's flash can be forced out early. Just alone on that mid wave. A nice move there by ThunderTalk. They have purchased over the river. The AD carry is without flash. LNG looking to move in. Perhaps it's time they pull the trigger. Culling coming down. Feather going in. Flashing to the bat side, but he can't taunt up the Lucian. Big knock-up coming through as well from the Chrom. And now the Nocturne is on top of LP. Called the Forge out to come in and knock him up as well. Equalizer splits the gap, but not doing a whole lot of damage. Next target, and dead is Xiaofang. 5v3. Can ThunderTalk get more? Zhuo's going to hop over the wall. Not going to get tagged by anything more than a claw. And it's a 2-0 for ThunderTalk.
Look up comes through. Gonna quickly just hop back out to safety. But 2 kills for ThunderTalk there, unanswered by LNG, as well as 1xN getting a little bit of free time in that mid lane to try and do a little bit of structural damage as well. LNG continuing to struggle in this series and continuing to struggle in Group Nirvana here up against some of the big dogs that have made their way down. As well as some of the dogs in the group that were previously pretty darn strong as well. Lucky on the spot side as Zika steps up. Don't want to be too close here.
Alright, Rude. This team vexes me, man. You have Azir. You have Azir. You can play late game. I understand you have Lucian. He's good at this point in the game. But you're behind a little bit, and you can't allow ThunderTalk to get ahead. And you just go and you decide to fight an objective that is already done.
Yeah, that's they turn up late, and unfortunately, you know, the way that this composition functions, it's not all in sync. Okay, the Lucian kind of wants to skirmish, the Rumble and the Vi are a little bit down to skirmish as well, but then they get Xiad on, and they've got some really anti-disengage tools, but they're at the objective first, which I think is how they need to play these setups, and they've got the numbers as well. They see Hoya down in the bot lane, so they're going to be able to secure this Rift Herald for themselves and be able to push a little bit of a lead, hopefully get some gold back with that, and use it on a structure.
And that's the difference between these two teams. ThunderTalk don't force. Feather goes, he pokes his head in. It's like, alright, we can't really do anything. I'm going to hop back over the wall. ThunderTalk lets the objective go. Yes, this is an important objective for LNG. It could catapult them back into the game. They're not down that far yet. But they need to give more resources into Haichao. They need to allow him to flourish later, and they have to make better decisions. When a fight is losing, cut it, and when a fight is winning, push the advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Try, you know, have a little bit of oomph, have a little bit of gumption. Make sure that you're pushing the pace of the game and using your advantages when you've got them. Poor Featherman. This guy just wants to recall, and maybe this is going to inspire TT to try and make a play down on this top side as well to try and respond to this, because he's kind of the only one here. TP, ward in from Zhuo. Okay, so the Rift Herald being put to good use already. And in fairness here, LNG is making the proactive play. TT knew this was coming like a mile away. The amount of times that he got stopped on his recall and nothing really was done is, you know, an indicator of maybe struggles.
Nice vision trick there coming through from Xiaofang. Now they're just going to head upstairs and look for Haichao. He's forced to flash away, so it's still a fairly successful play for the ThunderTalk jungler.
Yeah, no flash on your Azir. Again, he's the big ticket carry for LNG. Just got funneled that gold as well from the turret, so very happy to see that they are making those proactive plays and that they are looking to punish those members who are a little bit too far forward. Reminder that killing an Azir as a Nocturne is going to be very difficult, or killing an Azir as a Nocturne, excuse me, is very difficult. Not only because he's got the slide and glide, but also because he can shove you away with his Empress Divide as well. So there's plenty of tools at the disposal of the Azir to keep himself safe and sound.
Nearing the 18-minute mark, another Dragon coming up in about a minute. We have Otacon in 2 minutes as well, and it's still a 1,300 gold lead for ThunderTalk. The needle has not moved all that much. And with LNG swiping up that one Dragon, we didn't really talk about how the Dragon stacking gets affected by that. Just mean that they bought themselves a couple of minutes for Haichao to get into the game, so long as they don't toss it away. That will be worthwhile as Zhuo is caught out here, looking to potentially toss it away, but Big Rom Shield doing a lot, Culling coming down, but it is just tickling right now. It does take Feather to a little over half, but there's no objective to fight over just yet. 25 seconds. LNG on the top side of the map here, but Zhuo is forced to flash away. He's up too far.
Yeah, really good play initially by Feather to block all of that, and then also by 1xN afterwards to force the flash from Zhuo, who's a little bit too far forward and, you know, could have probably done without burning his flash there and really, you know, costing his team just a little bit, mainly costing himself, honestly. Like, that's not a big Braum tool to engage with frequently, isn't Flash Winter's Bite, but you know, on an instant where he might need to get out to say he's not going to have that opportunity, as TT now secure a second Dragon for themselves. An Infernal that gets triple stacked for either of these sides is going to do great work. Looking across the board, probably a little bit more for the LNG side, as they're the ones that have to battle up against a couple of tanks.
I know you said ThunderTalk was going to secure that Dragon, and nobody on LNG was even close except for LP, but with the way this team has contested some objectives, I wasn't entirely sold on it, Roodood. I thought that maybe there was a world where I'm glad we don't live in that world. As 1xN is just 2v1ing right now and forcing LP and Zhuo off. 20 seconds until this Otacon. You can see the vision line starting to encroach on LNG's side of the jungle. They've got pink wards down. They've got priority with SeTab. Aki is just waiting in the wings with the Paranoia up and ready to go.
Yeah, like you say, with SeTab pushing up this far, you know, you begin to think, actually, is he too far forward? You've highlighted Aki's right there with him, and it's like SeTab starting this off with a couple of autos. He's trying to keep his stun ready, so he's not really offering too much to Aki right now, and hops back to the mid lane wave. They're going to know that this is happening. 1xN started this, there's a TP gone into the tri-brush. LNG, this is your time to try to contest. This is your time to pull the trigger.
5,000 HP, they've struggled to pull the trigger. Will LNG be able to do it? It's getting lower and lower, and Xiaofang elects not to go in, and now he's going to be knocked up. Feather coming through, doing a lot. Equalizer down, but here's the Paranoia. Aki trying to get to the backside. They do manage to find LP. Lower and lower. Feather with the knockup onto Haichao there. A lot of damage coming through from Zika, though. Another knockup. Feather is there. 1xN is full HP. Another knockup found. A double kill for 1xN.
ThunderTalk, again, just coming away with this fight. It wasn't even close. Yes, they take down SeTab. Yes, they take down Aki. But Haichao is the only member left standing. The Tier 1 will fall, the Atacon will fall, and ThunderTalk are running away with game number 2. It all starts with a pretty botched engage on this top side. You can see that Xiaofang's trying to find his way into the pit, but he's just used his Q aggressively to go nowhere. Flash engage from SeTab catches both of the bot lane members and actually sets up for Aki to get into the backline and take down the Lucian. The exhaust comes through late, which means that the Lucian's already dead by the time that exhaust happens. And try as Zika might, he gets 2 kills in the backline, but he's not able to do enough. He's not able to turn the tides of the fight into a 3 versus 5. And Haichao, in the midst of a Paranoia, can never really walk forward because he doesn't know what he's walking into.
What a fight by Feather, by the way. This guy landed knockup after knockup after knockup, doing so much. It all came together there for ThunderTalk. And again, it's LNG just waiting, and now TT are looking to just pick them all off. They're going to go all in on Xiaofang, and he will fall once again. Haichao is going to get caught out now too. He stuck around a little too long, and they get surrounded. It's a double kill for 1xN again.
And LNG just continue to struggle. This early season is just not going their way at all. 1xN with the Feather by his side, SeTab by his side, has never really looked like he's going to get touched this game. 5-0-2, having a monster performance, but really off the back of his support, giving him some great help. Really off the back of his jungler as well, having a pretty decent performance. Again, my question marks for Aki have been pretty large, but in this series, certainly proving that in Group Nirvana, he's definitely got what it takes. An attempted engage onto Xiaofang, and successfully so, as the knockup comes through from downtown, and Haichao, you've got nothing left to do here. It's just great spacing.
Yeah, Aki has been a really good jungler here in Group Nirvana. I think that it's something we could have expected. I know that he struggled a lot in Group Ascend and was, widely seen as one of the worst junglers right now. And I really hate to say that, but it seems like this has been a little bit of a wake-up call on a new team. It could be the new team honeymoon, who knows? But he has looked like a different player so far in Group Nirvana.
I will say in his first series definitely did struggle, so there are still some of those question marks, but Hoya now the focus. There's a TP coming in and Paranoia.
Yeah, let's see where
2
Aki's going
TPs.
to go. He's just waiting it out. Now he's going to go all the way in. He's going to target Zika out. There's the equalizer. It's going to do a lot of damage. Feather and
it's not
Aki
good.
trying to get out of there, but it's stunned onto Haichao, and he will fall to 4v3. But will LNG continue? They're unable to.
Yeah, I mean, Baron spawns in 40. They probably get the Dragon off of this, which is going to be really important for them. Aki sending it a bit too far forward there, unfortunately. Straight into the back line and just gets taken down. Haichao, unfortunately, you know, he goes forward with the scoop, tries to pick people up, but isn't quite able to do so. 1xn's looking to rush this down here with his timings, trying to find his way forward and get to the pit ahead of time so he can maybe catch somebody out. Looks like he's going to be spotted, he gets figured out, and he's not going to really be able to be successful in that venture.
Right, Xiaofang
I hope.
hit a lot, down to half HP off of just a couple
I mean,
of
that
auto
might do
attacks.
it. That saves
Yeah.
it. That's actually so disappointing, because they knew that the Xayah was there. Zhuo TP'd into the Raptor pit to be able
what
to
are we
hit
doing
that
here?
cone and to spot people out.
All right, LNG has done this before where they shade to the Baron and don't actually do it. Pings are down on it. The Dragon is dead. And LNG makes no commitment toward this top side other than getting the crab.
And at this stage as well, it's really tricky for them to do much more with the Paranoia being available, with SeTab ready with Flash as well. Like, it is tricky for them to look to go any further forward. This is a replay of how this fight in the top side actually broke down, and you know, at this point you're thinking, well, TT probably just roll this if they play it, you know, a little bit slow. Aki goes in, gets taken down. It's a really good equalizer from Zika. Haichao goes for the scoop, but he gets stunned on his entry, so by the time that he arrives and by the time he can actually use his ult, SeTab's got out. 1xn had actually already flashed out to safety, and now we cut back to live where Zhuo is dicing a little bit with death here.
Never going to be able to hop away. And you know, we talked about Aki being a new player, and then he immediately goes in and a little too deep, and they were backing off. They cut the vision. You should have just let him walk out, bud. But, you know, still a couple of oopsies here and there. Again, it is Group Nirvana. We're not expecting the gameplay to be perfect. We are expecting these teams to build a strong foundation, try to get to the top four. And I think that for some of them, if they can contend with the bottom four Ascend teams and make them interesting series, that is a solid goal for them.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for, really, more than anything. As you can see, SeTab, he's doing such a good job at zoning out LP, and with this Nocturne going in.
All right, we're going to target out Haichao. He's going to knock a member back, but
There it
SeTab
is.
in with the stun, finds his man. Zhuo's got to flash away. LP can't do anything, and ThunderTalk immediately to the Baron.
Yep, with the mid laner down. Remember, this is the one part of LNG that we theorized might be able to do something. Now Zika does have a 2k gold lead. He still has equalizer, and TT are in the pit. 3-item rumble could be the difference maker.
Equalizer, or not equalizer, call the Forge God, not going to hit anybody, but Xiaofang goes in to immediately flash out. LP's going to dash forward. He's going to cleanse, but even he is limping away. Feather,
I like the effort.
down.
Not quite able to do it, and you know, goes in, gets the Flicker Blades procs really quickly, able to dash in and back out. And I think they're trying to trade there. Take down SeTab's not a bad idea. Unfortunately, a 2-item Lucian, and one of those items doesn't contain any AD, so it's really tricky for you to do the damage at this point in the game. Replay of all this starting off. I mean, Aki just, like, last time he went deep, this time he went deep as well, but just a little bit more focus, a little bit more attention. And I will call out as well, the block on the shuffle as well. Really solid positioning from this Nocturne, is he actually positions his body in the way of the Sand Soldier so that Haichao can't shuffle to it, instead shuffles into him. He's happy to have to do an extra 100 damage from the Sand Soldier shield in exchange for being able to wail away at the Azir.
Yeah, a much better fight, a much better Paranoia this time around from Aki. Other than that one little hiccup, has been great. SeTab, we called out that flash before the fight. It was money. The LNG were far apart. ThunderTalk knew they could get there, and they have put the boot on the throat of LNG this game. Drag it up in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So ThunderTalk looking to get in there, maybe get this inhibitor. We'll see if LNG are going to try to do something in this mid lane right now.
They need to. They're losing their inhibitor here.
They are so afraid. They are afraid to fight, Roodood.
All right, well, the inhibitor, I think, stands stronger. They're going to let it die? No. It's going down. TT have decided that they want this inhibitor instead of the tier 1 turret mid lane, or tier 2 turret, which, honestly, it's a very fine trade. It's not going to go down. They've decided that they don't want the inhibitor. I've lied. They were shepherding out their bot lane. They'll take the gold. They'll take the turrets.
He's still down there.
Yeah, he is, but he can join with ulti as well, so it's not looking awful. And they didn't even get the turret. So TT a little bit in split minds as well, it's worth saying. Not really sure where it is that they're looking for, but I mean, with the Baron and with how far ahead they are, like this shouldn't have been as difficult as they've made it. But they've gone for the low risk approach. Odds are they can go back to base, set up around the dragon, and then secure said dragon and have an Infernal Soul for future fights, which is much lower risk than, I guess, the slightly more scary attempts that they were making around the base.
Yeah, and ThunderTalk have been largely dominating LNG in these fights too, so it's even lower than on an average game, I think.
Yeah.
LNG are going to have to dig deep and go to somewhere where they have not gone before and try to grit their teeth and keep this game together.
I mean, even if they concede this dragon, like, this is the power that TT have right now, is they're not pressed to take this dragon. They've got a Baron buff minion wave if they wanted to. They could have just gone and sent it for inhibs, but they're looking for both.
Xiaofang wants to get in there. It's getting low, and it's secured by ThunderTalk. And this is going to be a complete wipe.
Dear.
Big knock up on the backside. You can see
Dear.
this triple stack Infernal Soul doing the most. Triple kill 1xN, a 2-0 for ThunderTalk as they dominate LNG.
And that fight just wasn't even close, Yanni. I'm going to keep it a stack. They got absolutely walked. This series wasn't even close. LNG, without really anything in the tank, and ThunderTalk send themselves to 2-1. And after their first day where they had a terrible showing versus EDG, have now bounced back to find themselves a second series win.
Very, very good start from ThunderTalk. They get the job done against the teams that you expect them to beat, the Ultra Primes and the LNGs. If they can refine themselves against those teams, then maybe they can contend and go play against the EDGs and the NIPs of the world. You know that Aki probably has it circled on the calendar to play against his former team.
Yeah, that matchup against NIP is waiting for him. He's certainly looking at it and thinking, this is my time to maybe make them regret that they'd swapped me out, or maybe to show that I'm, you know, a worthwhile player to have on a roster. I mean, looking at the lineups, they don't play for a little while, as far as I can tell.
August 5th.
But yes, that's week 3 at the very minimum, so it's going to be a decent ways away. But I mean, for at the very least, TT going into the end of today, they can be very happy with how they've performed. A 2-0 is much better off for them. They got 0-2 to start off their season. They then 2-1 series up against Ultra Prime, which we would have expected them to probably 2-0. And in the series up against LNG, where we expect them to 2-0, they look very convincing and do exactly that.
Yeah, and in that EDG loss, I mean, ThunderTalk wanted to be super aggressive, but Aki got counter-ganked when they went to go gank bot, put him behind the curve. So I think if you can counter-gank Aki on the first move, put him behind, it'll be a big avenue to beat a team like ThunderTalk. And, you know, it was the first series, though, so obviously maybe it was, hey, a little bit more synergy, a little bit more time. We get to go work on things, and they'll look a lot better. I think I firmly put them in the 3rd, 4th place tier of teams. They still need to show me something that they can beat NIP, that they can beat EDG. NIP did not look infallible, but at the beginning of this game, we talked, in the series, we talked about how it wasn't really close. Early on in that first game, there was still some fighting back and forth, but as the game progressed, we saw a lot of LNG's inability to be aggressive, and that just let ThunderTalk walk over the game.
Yeah, and I think that for LNG, it goes back to the drawing board, right? Like, these pseudo-engage styles aren't really working for them. If they just go for something that it can be super to the point, and I think as well that game number one, they kind of had a little bit of that with the Jarvan, that they had a genuine just, okay, now I need to go forward style of champion. But they weren't able to harness that, and I think they're just giving a little bit more resource to how well they are looking at their engages, who they're looking to play on their engaged champs, and maybe giving engaged duties to different players as well. Could be something that lends them a little bit more opportunity for success. But obviously they've got a 0-2 start to the season now. They've got 8 games to try and turn this back around, and hey, an 8-2 record is going to get you top 4. If they can spin it around, they'll be absolutely fine, but it's a very tall ask for them, given what we've already seen from this team so far this season, which has been pretty weak stuff.
And I have to say, I'm not sure what they're afraid of. It's not like Split 2, where if you finish bottom 2, you're out. Like, the season is just over. And as far as I know, it doesn't mean you're going to start in Ascend in 2026. Obviously, that's a little ways off. So just like, what do you have to lose? Obviously, there's the court of public opinion. When you are a player, court of public opinion's not great on you. You know, we talk career-altering stuff. We don't really want to get into that. But as a team, there's opportunities here. I want to see the next time LNG plays to just go for it, man. Just try it. Shoot or shoot. And these guys ain't shooters.
Yeah, and by the time that they've started shooting, the game's already far too far gone. Like that Jarvan game, for example.
Hit a 3 to cut the deficit to 42.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's just not worth it. Because they've missed those opportunities earlier on in the game. I do think game number 1 was a really good hallmark of some of the issues that they found. But to take a look at the post-game statistics for this one, I mean, in game number 1, we highlighted that there was about a 5-minute window where LNG looks like they had a lead. We're struggling to find anything over 200 gold, which is negligible and not really worth mentioning, as ThunderTalk really controlled this game and controlled this series.
Yeah, and especially, this game, as you said, it was just absolute domination from wire to wire. And now we get to talk about potential MVP. Big shout to Zika for having a good damage there. We take a look at 1xNs. We said earlier damage isn't everything, but in this game, it felt like damage was a lot. I think that SeTab and I think that Aki played well, but Feather was just picking him up and putting him down this fight and squeezing out as much damage as he could.
I mean, there's a triple knock-up on that one at level 4, and I mean, if we count up the number of players knocked up, normally you probably value the power of a Rakan over an Ornn just in general, but in this game as well, it's probably going to be so emphasized as Feather, this is probably his rare whiffed engage where he doesn't actually find access to the AD carry, but what he does do is bait out enough of the spells to allow for the rest of his team to come on in and finish off the job. And I do think that overall, just the power that Feather brought to this series, as well as the 100% kill participation, was a very big switch up. Because in game number 1, his Alistar didn't look the best. It didn't look like it was awful, but it wasn't crystal clear. Whereas this time round, actually very impressed with what he was able to do. 100% kill participation is always very impressive, especially on a support.
Yeah, and this fight in particular was where he really showed up. He hit a knock-up after knock-up. He forced Haichao out of the fight on the flash knock-up. Not much more you can say. Definitely think we should be giving our MVP over to support this game. I think if they gave it over to 1xN, it'd be all right. But Feather, there's not too many games as a support where you're really going to be like, that guy should have been the MVP. I think this is one of them, so they have to give it to him.
How many EDG games have you watched so far? Just because
okay.
There are some counter-arguments being made in that camp.
Fair.
However, in this instance, I have no qualms at all with the Feather MVP votes. As like you say, there are counter-arguments. There's a world where we see it go to 1xN for him being so impressive, just on the Zion, never really getting touched, having a pretty flawless performance, but expectation is that it was the setup that made it a lot easier, and the setup that made it possible was coming from Feather.
Really good stuff out of Feather for a guy that early on so far the split, we didn't have too much to talk about with him. We know he's good. We know he pairs well with 1xN, but he hadn't really been wowing lately. He had just been solid pairing. Good stuff. This game was where he really turned it on. He really showed up. He wants to make sure that ThunderTalk are playing at their peak, that are going after these top 2 spots. We have our MVP. It goes to 1xN.
Yeah, again, he did a lot of damage.
He did a lot this game.
He didn't die. They
didn't spoon feed him. He worked for every one of those.
I think he secured a lot of objectives as well. Like the soul was picked up by 1xN because he root called 40 feathers through it, and he did have a lot of standout moments. So it's not unfounded.
Yeah, not going to be too upset at that. Feather robbed, but really not that bad. We do have the standings update ready, so let's go and take a look at the standings and see where we shake out as we are heading to the end of the second week of play. IG, after their victory over JDG, now sitting at 2-1, along with Weibo, top esports 3-0. We are still yet to see our Giants coming back from MSI, AL, and BLG. Excited to see those guys. And over on the side of Nirvana, things really starting to take shape. LGD needs to separate themselves from the pack. They've only played one game, so they will have opportunities to do so.
Yeah, it's about whether or not they join that bottom three or if they're going to start trying to merge into the top four and really separate where we think our playing teams are going to end up being. I mean, you can already start to see a little bit of the pack in the Group Ascend standings as well, with WE struggling a little bit, with FPX being 0-2 as well. And now with JDG that we saw earlier on going down in relatively swift fashion as well. Concerns about how well those roster changes are actually impacting them and whether or not they were the picks that needed to be made.
The drama is high. You're going to have to keep an eye on some of these teams as they go and fight for an extra spot at Worlds and look to represent the LPL. We still have a long split ahead of us, but it always is nice to follow around and watch as things take shape from start to finish. That's going to do it for us here this evening, but we do want to thank our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Forest Without, and owners of a Silmaril, because their pledged financial contributions help level up our broadcast. They give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you English LPL product every single day. That's going to wrap a bow on things. Tomorrow, Friday, EDG versus NIP, LGD versus LNG. Yes, it is a full Nirvana day. Cubby and Mazel are going to be on the cast for that. For myself, for Roodood, for Kai, pushing the buttons behind the glass. We want to thank you all so much for being here with us today. We hope to see you tomorrow for some more LPL action.